Yo, what is up, fellow gym leaders? Destined Rivals is just around the corner, and in today's video, we're going to talk about some of the new Gym Leader Challenge cards coming out of Destined Rivals. I hope you guys are doing well. I want you guys to know that you are loved. Let's go ahead and start off with a big one. I think might be one of the biggest ones. It's kind of a cool one. Is Shaman. It's going to be Grass. It is an 80 HP Pokemon, so you're going to be able to look for it with Level Ball. Unfortunately, not for Buddy Poffin, but it's basically bench barrier for your grass deck now. It's really awesome. We have Flower Curtain, prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon without a roll box by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. So, if I'm reading this correctly, that is bench barrier for your grass deck now, and that is a big help for grass. I think that's going to be one of the biggest cards coming out of Destined Rivals for Gym Leader Challenge. And from there, and again, like these cards right here are just cards that I just kind of went through. I'm like, oh, that piques my interest. We'll have a bigger one at some point, but we have a Rapidash coming up. This one is also really good for fire. Has the ability Hurried Gate. Once during your turn, you may draw a card, and it's 110 HP, so it's not searchable through Level Ball or anything like that. But it is really good for the fire deck and, being able to get you a little bit more draw power without you having to worry about, evolving to a stage 2 Delphox and having to, draw up to 6. Although that is really good, sometimes you want to play Charizard or other big stage 2 cards in your deck. Next up, we got Ethan's Typhlosion. Ethan's Typhlosion it's not the absolute best, but it is interesting. So we have stage 2, 170 HP. You can play all sorts of different Typhlosions if you wanted to play a regular Typhlosion and a fire Typhlosion, because this is a trainer's Pokemon, but there's not a whole lot of great Typhlosions out there. We got for one fire, we got Buddy Blast 40 plus 60 damage per Ethan's Adventure card that you have in the discard pile. Now, it's not too great for Gym Leader Challenge, mainly because Gym Leader Challenge is a singleton format. You can only play one of, so you'd only have one Ethan's Adventure, but 1 for 100 isn't terrible, and it can, it could take out some other Pokemon with other damage modifiers and stuff like that. So it's decent. It's not terrible. And then you got Steam Artillery for 160 damage for 3 energy. Again, not bad at all. That's one of those nice happy numbers that you can do for knocking out Pokemon, such as, even Gallade. Buddy Catch Gallade has 160 HP if it's not buffed with anything like that. But Ethan's Typhlosion isn't terrible. We got Ethan's Macargo. Not to say that this Macargo would get replace Smooth over Macargo. Actually, it wouldn't, because it's a trainer's Pokemon, so you'll be able to play both Macargos. But this Macargo in particular has the ability Melt and Flow. If this Pokemon has no energy attached, it has no retreat cost, so until you put energy on there, it's going to have free retreat. And then you have Lava Burst for 3 fire, 70 times damage, discard up to 5 energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 70 for each fire energy you discard in this way. So that's a big card that you'll be able to, hit up some big damage if need be. And I believe the way it's worded, you wouldn't be able to discard 1 and it counts as 2 with Charizard. So you would not be able to do that. I do so believe that. But Ethan's Macargo isn't terrible. You can hit up some big damage with that, which is pretty nice. Then we got Blaziken, which I'm excited for this because I love Blaziken. For one, 3rd generation is probably my favorite generation, but it is a really cool Blaziken. It has 170 HP. Of course, it's a stage 2. You got Heat Blast for 70 and 2 colorless, but that's not the kicker. No pun intended. We got 2 fire, 1 colorless, has Inferno Legs. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon, and this attack also does 120 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So you're doing 120 to active, 120 to bench. It's just like Amazing Raikou reincarnated into Blaziken, and it's really cool. I'm excited for this one right here. And you only have to discard 2 energy whenever you do use that attack. So it's not terrible. It's not bad at all. It has 170 HP, so it's going to be able to at least have the ability to tank some damage. So look out for Blaziken. Fire is going to be able to get a nice little buff there. And then from there, we got Misty's Starmie. This is more for like a lo-fi water type list. For 1 water, sudden flash, 60 plus damage. If this Pokemon evolved from Misty Staryu during this turn, this attack does 80 more damage. So 140 for 1 is not bad at all. It's not searchable through level ball because it does have 100 HP, so it might be a little weird to kind of get in hand when needed, but you can play this with Devolution Spray and stuff like that to be able to kind of get multiple Scoop Up Net as well, to kind of get multiple turns worth of Misty Starmie. But it's nice. It might be nice for like a lo-fi water list, something like that. And then you got Huntail. This isn't going to be like something that's like an auto include, but you might mess around with it. People might mess around with it. But it's 110 HP. It is a stage 1, so you do have to evolve it. I believe there's a Clam Pearl that you can evolve like immediately, which is kind of nice, but it doesn't really help, because it has the ability Diver Catch. Whenever one of your water Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, you may put all basic water energy attached to that Pokemon into your hand instead of the discard pile. So you can kind of do a little bit of energy conservation with Huntail. Again, it's not going to be an auto include, but definitely something that people might play around with. I think Team Rocket's Ampharos is pretty interesting. It is a stage 2, however, 140 HP, and the ability is Darkest Impulse. When your opponent plays a Pokemon from their hand to evolve one of their Pokemon during their turn, put 4 damage counters on that Pokemon. It doesn't stack, which doesn't matter for us because it's GLC, a singleton format. And then Headbolt for 140, 1 Lightning, 2 Colorless. Now, this isn't great because it is a stage 2, and sometimes by the time you get a stage 2 out, your opponent has everything that they wanted to evolve and more, and they're done with it. But maybe for a little spread action, because it is a trainer's Pokemon, you don't have to, sacrifice your Dynamotor Flaffy to put this into your deck. You can put this whole line into your deck and kind of just put it in there, but you might be able to get this out quick, get 4 damage counters on your evolution Pokemon to kind of soften up your opponent's evolution Pokemon, and just kind of go from there. So might be something, might not be something. Next up, we got Team Rocket's Hypno, stage 1, 130 HP. So it's not the, if you're hitting 130 HP, it's kind of like that magic number that most Pokemon are going to be able to hit now. So 140 HP is like one of those nice thresholds nowadays. But with that being said, for 3 Psychic, we got Bench Manipulation. It does 80 damage. Your opponent flips a coin for each of their bench Pokemon. This attack does 80 damage for each Tails. So it's interesting because your opponent flips a coin, and for each of their benched Pokemon, because we know in Gym Leader Challenge, you want to go 5 wide on your bench most of the time, unless if you're like a low down-to-earth deck where you're only playing like 2 or 3 bench Pokemon at a time. If you're most of the time though, however, you're wanting to play all 5 bench Pokemon, and then if somebody attacks you with this, you're going to have to roll 5 dice, and for each Tails that you get, you're going to hit for 80 damage, which is super interesting. So it's kind of like a different type of interaction there where your opponent flips, which is interesting, but cool nonetheless. Then we got Steven's Claydoll. It is a stage 1. But it's kind of cool, 120 HP, so it's very squishy in a way, but it has the Clay Burst attack for 2 Psychic, 1 Colorless, 220 damage, discard all energy from this Pokemon. So it's kind of like that Latios card, or Latios, I believe, where it's 180 discard all energy, or discard 2, or however, can't remember, but it's 220 discard all on this. So do with that what you will. From there, we have Annihilate. Annihilate always has these very, very extremely similar cards. This is not a reprint, but it's 150 HP, a stage 2. So we know how Annihilate is, and like using stage 2s in a fighting deck. The deck already has problem drawing, so it's already kind of inconsistent enough. But anyways, it's kind of cool. Ability Vessel of Rage. If this Pokemon has 2 or more damage counters on it, attacks used by this Pokemon do 120 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And with Impact Blow, you're already doing 160. So we're up to 280 damage for just 2 fighting energy. You just can't use Impact Blow the next turn, which if you're getting a good knockout, then what doesn't even matter. But I think that's pretty cool. However, fighting needs some more consistency. That being said, we got another stage 2 Pokemon, which is pretty interesting. We have the ability Sandstream. As long as Pokemon is in the active spot, put 2 damage counter on each of your opponent's basic Pokemon during checkup. Now, this is kind of similar to the Ampharos that we saw earlier, to where by the time you get that on there, your opponent might have all of their basics evolved. However, a lot of decks nowadays in Gym Leader Challenge, a lot of them actually do have quite a few basics that don't evolve or just kind of sit on the bench. So let's say you're playing against Colorless. You already have a kind of a one-up on them because you're playing fighting. However, they have Squovit on the bench and a couple other easy to hit kind of guys, like Chinchino is 90 HP, 3-4 turns, and you've got them. Actually, scratch that. Chinchino is an evolved Pokemon, but Squovit, 3 turns, and that Squovit is out of here. But Tyranitar also has the attack for 1 fighting 3 colorless, breakthrough tackle, 180 damage, discard an energy card from your opponent's active Pokemon. So if you're not knocking it out for 180 damage, you're discarding and taking energy away from them. So that might be super helpful. And plus on top of that, it has 180 HP on this Team Rocket's Tyranitar. Next up, we got Team Rocket's Arbok, 130 HP. It's a stage 1, but it has the ability Intimidating Glare. If this Pokemon is in your active Pokemon, your opponent can't play any Pokemon cards with abilities from their hand. So you're not going to be able to evolve your Pokemon if they have any abilities from their hand, or even be able to put them down onto the bench. So it kind of makes it kind of hard to do anything if this guy's in the active position and you have nothing but ability Pokemon to play. You can't play them from hand. So you have to eventually be able to get this guy out of the active through Escape Rope, Guzma, Boss, anything like that, to be able to play your then ability type Pokemon. But it also has this attack for 3 Dark Spinning Tail. This attack does 30 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon, so this is good for spread. It's a pretty fun version of spread. I think I might play it because I'm a big fan of spread decks myself. Although I do love tank and heal decks, I love spread decks. So it's kind of funny how one extreme and the other are my favorite type of deck. Then we have Marnie's Morpeko for 70 HP. It's a basic Pokemon, 3 colorless, has 20 plus damage, and it does 40 more damage per dark energy attached to Marnie's Morpeko. So with that Hydreigon that you can put on, it's kind of like a rain dancer for dark Pokemon. This guy right here is going to be able to hit for some big damage. I mean, you got 3 on there already, and you're doing 140 damage already, and then you can stack that up really quickly. So I think Marnie's Morpeko is pretty cool. You might see this in a lot of different lists coming up. Another dark Pokemon that I didn't even consider this until I played in pre-release, we have Team Rocket Sneasel. So it's not as good as a free retreat Sneasel. Actually, you know, I keep on forgetting that these are, you got trainers Pokemon right now and regular. So you will be able to just kind of throw this into your spread deck because it has this awesome attack, Backstab. This attack does 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each damage counter that is already on that Pokemon. So dark spread, I think that if you put this into your list, it's going to help you out a lot, be able to pick off those guys on the bench that you've been spreading the entire time. So Team Rocket Sneasel is pretty cool, and I'm glad to have found that like during I was playing like this coughing wheezing deck in pre-release, and I was able to kind of pick off those guys on the bench whenever they retreated. And then we got the trainers. We have Sacred Ash coming back with an errata, so you can shove that back into your decks if you want that. I know that beforehand we did not have the choice of shuffling 5 Pokemon or not. It was just straight up 5, but now it's up to with the errata. So now you can shuffle up to 5 Pokemon back into your deck, which makes Sacred Ash even better. And then we have Team Rocket's Giovanni. Switch your active Rockets Pokemon with one of your benched Team Rockets Pokemon. If you do, then switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. So you have to kind of play a Rockets themed deck, which is kind of hardish in GLC because a lot of them are kind of different types sometimes or don't have enough synergy. But I'll just throw this in. I thought I'd throw this into GLC anyways, just in case of, you know, we get some more Team Rockets Pokemon per se, but it's basically a Guzma, but you have to play it in a Team Rocket deck. And then we got Team Rocket's Factory, which is basically a stadium that says if you play a supporter with Team Rocket in its name from your hand, you can draw 2 cards at any point. So it's super cool as well. So Team Rocket's Factory is pretty nice, but you have to play it with a Team Rocket themed deck. This card, however, is kind of funny. We got Team Rocket's Venture Bomb. I pulled a couple of these at pre-release, so I thought it'd be funny to throw in the deck. I kept on hitting myself because what you do is you flip heads or tails, and then depending, if you flip heads, you're able to put 2 damage counters on any of your opponent's Pokemon. But if you flip tails, you put 2 damage counters on your own active Pokemon. And I did that all day long, which was not helpful to me whatsoever. Then we got Team Rocket's Watchtower, which basically just both colorless Pokemon, both players' colorless Pokemon have no abilities, so just shuts them off. So shut off colorless, although colorless really doesn't need to be shut off too much anymore, because I don't think it's necessarily on the pedestal that it was on anymore, but it's still a pretty nice deck to play. Team Rocket's Energy, again, you got to play this in a Team Rocket themed deck. It is a double, not rainbow, but it's a double psychic, double dark, pays those guys pretty well. So in that Team Rocket's Arbok deck, you would be able to put this guy in and use this guy to help pay for that energy cost. So it might be worth it to play that as that double energy cost. That is all the cards that I could find that kind of piqued my interest. I'm sure I've missed some, or there's some that have a specific niche that people really love. So let me know down in the comments if there's anything that I missed or anything that you're looking forward to specifically. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead, give it a like, share it with a friend. Other than that, always remember, stay thankful.